Welcome everyone to SEO Office Hours. My name is Michael Chidzey. I'm an SEO here at Good Signals, and part of what we do, along with special guests, are these office hour sessions where people can jump in and ask their questions around their website and web search. By the way, nobody here is in the hot seat and we might not know all the answers, but multiple heads thinking about a problem should help. We've had a bunch of questions submitted already, as you can see, which we'll go through. But if there's anybody here live on the call who would like to ask any questions, please feel free to flag yourself in the chat functionality, which will be monitored. Also, there's usually lots of other amazing SEOs live on the call that share their ideas, experiences, and perspectives. I personally think that's one of the best things about SEO Office Hours is not just hearing from the four of us, but hearing from everybody else as well. So please continue to do that. You might notice there's a change of plan this week. Instead of Joe, because it's Halloween, we have Marty McFly with us. Good morning, Marty. How you doing? Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. I'm really happy to be here, flying in or calling in from California, Hill Valley. It's a bit early or late my time. I thought I'd try and make it here. Yes, hello everyone. And happy Halloween to those that celebrate. I know it's not a worldwide tradition, but I spent my formative years in the US, so I'm very into the whole Halloween thing. And welcome everyone to our 84th SEO office hours. Thank you all for joining us. We've got 25 people calling in. I mentioned a few cities. We also have Holland. I know that is not a city, but I don't know what the city is. We also have Katowice. I don't know if I said that correctly, in Poland. We have Nijmegen in Holland. So that's great, as well as a few other places I said, Kent, Ledbury, Norwich. And yeah, thank you all for joining us. So I'm just obviously joining as Marty McFly, but I'm really Juliana Turnbull. And I'm really happy to be here. And we have two special guests. We have Becky, who is also at Brighton SEO last week, and Joseph, and he was also at Brighton SEO last week. So welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
So I'd like to give a brief intro of our two wonderful speakers. We have, as I said, Becky. So Becky is not only the founder and CEO of an agency, an award-winning behavioral science-led agency called Reflect Digital. She is also the CEO of Human First Collective. This is a group of businesses built around a shared belief in human-centered thinking. She's also very passionate about inspiring the next generation of digital talent, and she has founded Aspirational Digital. So this is a one-day digital skills conference. It is in the Southeast, but they are actually expanding and they're having their first ever event outside of the Southeast this next week. They're having it in Newcastle. And this one-day digital conference, it's designed to educate students about the breadth of careers in digital. Because I don't know about you, I didn't know much about digital before going to university. Becky not only does that, but she is a member of the UK government's Digital Skills Council. She helped shape the future of digital skills. And she's also recognized as one of the top 100 people shaping the future of the digital industry. She's featured in the BIMA 100, and she has featured there for several years. And she was at Brighton SEO. She was the moderator for the Auditorium 1 last week. And she also gave an excellent presentation. And she's doing this presentation this week. She's doing a live stream of her full Brighton SEO talk on Monday. And I will share the link. You may already see it in the chat there. So tune in to the talk on Monday from Becky. So welcome, Becky, to the show. Yeah, you're very busy.
Very busy, but yeah, thank you. And yeah, if anyone wants to come on Monday or if you can't make the time, just sign up anyway and we will get you the recording over. But it was a fun session. This is the extended cut on Monday.
Oh, extended cut. Yes, it was a very good talk at Brighton SEO. Loads of insights there, very interesting around the psychology of search behavior. So welcome on the show, Becky.
Thank you for having me.
And hello, Josep. Welcome to the show. You have been in digital space since 2006. And actually, you founded your first e-commerce store, which was also Spain's very first online wallpaper shop. So that was very entrepreneurial of you, and you founded that in Spain. You're actually from near Barcelona. You're fluent in not only English, but also Catalan, Spanish, and French. And you can do conversational Italian too. You also are now actually in Brighton. So you were
Yeah.
in Brighton last week, but you're permanently there and you moved there actually more than 10 years ago. And you've been working across the travel industry, agency, in-house before founding Amplfyr. So this is a content optimization app that helps you get more visibility in the new search landscape. So this is actually for content writers, SEOs, and agencies. It works on the content refresh. It helps you basically refresh your content with the right signals so you can appear where you should be instead of actually creating more content. And outside of that, you're also a mentor. You've spoken at many conferences as well, Brighton SEO. You spoke at Search Barcelona, the event that I did in Barcelona, so thank you for that. And you're a judge for the UK, European, and Global Search Awards. So, how do you do all of this? You're also very busy.
Always very busy. Thank you for having me, by the way, and for the long intro. Yeah, I was trying to keep me busy, and I have what I would say it's a infinite or endless curiosity about learning. So when I started in 2006, I didn't know what SEO was, and
Mm.
these guys, the developers, told us, "Oh, we have created like a specific page for SEO," and I thought, "Okay, that's great." And I started to tinker, and until in 2009, I started selling my services. And after that is just putting hours into learning how things work, and that's it. And yeah, basically, that's what keep me so busy, this infinite curiosity.
It's great to have curiosity. Sorry to cut you up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing today and answering all our questions. We do have quite a few questions today, and great to have two entrepreneurs in as our special guests. I'll pass over to Mike for the questions.
Amazing. And like I said earlier, I wish Joe had told us that we were dressing up for Halloween. Some of us weren't as prepared. No, I'm joking.
But
Okay, sorry, go. I have it on my desk, so I have to use it as my stepson's. Okay, let's get cracking with the first question because we were all at Brighton SEO. And the first question is, what was your most interesting takeaway from Brighton? And I'm assuming the person means Brighton SEO. Becky, I don't know, you were doing so many things. You were moderating, you were speaking, but did you have a chance to digest any of the content? Did you take anything away?
I did. Firstly, AI was everywhere, wasn't it? But I think what was lovely, and I think it was echoed in my talk, is thinking about AI alongside humans. So that was definitely a theme. Probably one of my favorite talks, though, was actually one that I was moderating. So we had Peter or Sararis, I'm going to say I might have butchered his surname, but he was talking about log file analysis. And when I introduced him, I made the comment that you would not normally catch me saying I'm excited about log file analysis. As we said yesterday, Mike, I am not a technical SEO, but it was so interesting. He did a great experiment on stage and showed how actually we can start to see if people are talking about your brand by posting your website on WhatsApp, which I just think opens up this bigger world of thinking that actually WhatsApp is a search channel now. It's not a traditional search channel, but we all sit in these communities and we turn to WhatsApp and we say to these, could be a 10-person community, it could be a 1,000-person community. Can anyone recommend someone that does X, Y, and Z? And actually to be able to start knowing the brand advocacy and tracking that, yeah, he just blew my mind a little bit because I thought, oh, if we can start getting data on this, we can start measuring it and thinking about it more and having that as a bit of a measure around kind of brand awareness and advocacy. So yeah, he really got my mind going.
Amazing. Joseph, did you have any big takeaways from Brighton SEO?
There were actually a lot of very interesting talks about agents. That was a particular interest of mine as well. But for me, the highlight was the talk of Mike King, where it shared a lot of very interesting insights about probably some of the SEOs wouldn't agree with. But for me, it was like a very good talk about how to think differently in this AI era. So yeah, that for me was the main takeaway. There were others, obviously, but yeah, the main would be that one.
Amazing. Joe, did you take anything super interesting away?
I did. I think that it's basically like the case studies. So there's some great, interesting presentations about, for example, how people have appeared in AI overviews, and it was based on their own experiment. So I really like the fact that people are sharing and being so open about what they have found at their company. I do think we are very sharing, and I think I encourage always everyone to share that. I also really like the side events. There was the SEO Mindset podcast on the Wednesday night, and also Sip and Search on the Thursday night, as well as the Women in Tech SEO meet and greet and the Sistrix lunch on the Thursday. So I think it's great that there's always opportunities to meet people as well, to connect with them, and to meet fellow peers, and also people that you've admired. So that's always really great to be in the fortunate position to meet people in real life.
Great. When I read this question, I thought I'd imagine the person being somebody who spent Brighton SEO in the pub and their boss has basically said, what were your main takeaways? And so they've come to office hours.
Can I just say something on that? Sorry, because actually one of my colleagues did say that in the SEO FOMO newsletter from later on Sunday, it actually had a list of many of the people that have published their slides. It was in that SEO FOMO. So if you're not part of SEO FOMO, do sign up, because it really has loads of takeaways of what's been happening in that week.
Super. I can find the link in a moment for the presentations you're talking about, because the lady put it on a web page. Yeah, what I really thought about was the difference between Brighton SEO a year ago and Brighton SEO this year, where it was really nice to see how much our industry has just really embraced AI, and nobody seems to be panicking like they were a year ago. And actually, everybody's testing and trying stuff and sharing things and learning. And I was really inspired by that, and just all the different ways we go about it, and then we come to something like Brighton and Share. So it was really nice to see that. I think SEOs are in such a good place to help with AI and AI strategy, because obviously there's the understanding of humans and the understanding of technology as well, and bots. It was really inspiring. So that was probably mine. I was only there on the Thursday though, so it could have been different on the Friday, but what I saw was great. Okay. Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
we have a couple of comments in the chat,
Oh, great.
Mike. Yeah, so Ian said that there was an amazing talk on how to optimize for AI agents, not just humans. Do
Oh,
you know
thanks.
about that one, Mike?
Thanks, Ian. Appreciate that.
That was very good. And Jordan, actually, you have shared, thank you, the SEO FOMO link. So thank you for that.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah, joke. I'll take some time to talk about my talk. No kidding. Okay, let's go on to the next question. When building a content plan around answering unbranded prompts, what's the best way to map or visualize those multi-step conversations? And so they're referring to the branching logic from prompt to follow-up prompts. In traditional SEO, we could just use a spreadsheet with topics and keywords, but that doesn't seem to really work here. Has anybody found a good way to do this? Joseph, would you be okay starting with this one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the thing is, there's a lot of tools out there that you can use. And I would say use the one that makes more sense to you. You can use some kind of tools like Miro, like there's another called, I think it's Octopus. But it's all a kind of mind mapping tools. But you don't need to do this if you want. You can stick to your spreadsheet if you want, like working levels or in tabs. And I found out that one of the tools that can help you out on mapping as well and separating this, even within a spreadsheet, is Qforia, again from Mike King from iPullRank. And you just download the CSV and you can work it with your spreadsheet in tabs or the way you usually work with columns. And it's very easy. As long as you separate your prompts by intent, I think that's going to be fine. But if you're more comfortable like using Miro or these kind of things, these kind of tools, that's okay as well. That's what I would say on that.
Great. Joe, what about you? Have you had to try and map out any prompts or anything yet?
I haven't yet, no, but I would actually, I'd like Miro, what Joseph has said. I would also I would actually want to do a type of brainstorming session also with people in my team, or also people outside of SEO, to try and get to find out what other people are talking about in terms of which could actually tie into the prompts. No, that's something I haven't done yet, but it will be something that, yeah, I'm probably gonna be doing in the next few weeks.
And Becky, do you have anything to add? Have you noticed any of your teams talking about this stuff?
Yeah, I think it's trying not to overthink it. Like, I think the spreadsheet can still work for this, the same as like Miro, much more visual, but it's still thinking about themes of what humans are talking about. You're never going to be able to map keywords. I don't th like we did with keywords. I don't think we're going to be able to do that with phrases that people are going to type in as a prompt, because we could all sit here now and say, let's all turn to an answer engine and ask what we should eat for dinner tonight. But we'd all search in a slightly different way. Like, it's so much broader because of the length of queries than keywords traditionally would have been. So I think it's not overthinking it. It's more that we need to get the themes right of what people are going to be searching for, and then understanding that intent and being able to map that to the type of content we're trying to create. But yeah, I think it's just finding whatever works best for you. If you're more visual, Miro is going to be brilliant. If you like a spreadsheet, you can still use a spreadsheet, but it's just thinking about how you lay that out.
Great. Yeah, I completely agree. I think you can definitely overthink this stuff. And I think also, it, if it was me, I'd focus more on what are some of the key topics or intent, and then just focus on them and building that out rather than needing to do the entire website at once. Because I think you could spend so much time doing that and trying to find the right tool than actually doing the work. So yeah, I personally do anything from spreadsheets to I'm a big fan of Milanote. I use that a lot. It's like a giant whiteboard and you can just do that. That can be quite handy for brainstorming and planning, but often it ends up back in Google Sheets. Like in some cases, I can get quite geeky. I'm a big fan of VR, as you all know, and there is an app in there called Noda, and you can spend ages sort of creating nodes and then exporting that into spreadsheets. You can also do that stuff as well, but that is a total waste of time. It's just for geeks like me that like that. Joe, do we have anything in the chat? How are people?
We do, yes. So Jordan has said he has been testing out Wiki. So this is for query fan out for Gemini, and obviously they were at Brighton SEO last week. This has been set up by Dixon. And we also have Joseph has shared out the Keforia, but you need a Gemini API key, and he referenced the iPull rank tools. And also Ramon is saying that one way to find the fan outs is by asking LLM a generic keyword. Then the LLM will ask, do you mean this or that? And then, of course, this or that are the fan outs. And you share the list from the decks from Brighton SEO. So great.
Super. Amazing. Okay, let's jump on to the next question, which is Google's now surfacing more short form videos, forums, and user-generated content because that's what users prefer. If you are running a site that's always focused on high quality, long form pages like destination guides or SEO rich travel blogs, would you start would you start adapting and invest in community and video like traveler stories, user-generated content galleries, or planning trip forums? Or is that just a case of chasing trends and should we just be doubling down on authority instead?
This one, yeah, I'll dive in. So I guess my first answer to this is we shouldn't be chasing algorithms, we should be chasing humans. So therefore, we need to go back to thinking about actually what do our audience want, and thinking about, because obviously I'm guessing for this business, those kind of long form guides and long form content's been working for them previously. But are they missing part of the customer journey, or is that the type of audience are really in-depth people? So one of the things I shared as part of my Brighton SEO talk was we've done some work to profile the different ways that people search. And within that, you've got people that are in their taste tuning phase. So they are looking into the kind of social arena normally, and they're looking for things that match their personal taste already, and they're looking to be inspired, and that's very visual, it's very multimedia. So at the moment, it sounds like from the question, I'm guessing that this brand isn't doing a lot of that. So anyone that starts their search in that kind of way, they're potentially missing them at the moment. You then often move on to crowdsourcing, where you're going to move into what do other people say and what other advice is there. And that's likely to be more on platform searching. It could be on Google, but it's also likely to be on things like Reddit or TripAdvisor, and they're going to get information. your fact finding is much more likely to happen in Google or your LLMs searching that way, where you're looking for the more long form content at that point. You've gone, and obviously this is a travel brand, so maybe you've started with the idea that we want to go on holiday, but by the time you're down to fact finding, we want to go on this type of holiday in this type of location, and I've got this amount of budget. So you are looking for the more long form information at that point to really check, is it going to work for what I'm looking for? So I would say it would be back to doing a bit of user research to understand, for the type of audience that they're going after, what is it they're looking for, and making sure they're surfacing the right things in the right places. And because you don't want to just suddenly replace what they've been doing on their website with all this short form content. Actually, this is more probably social content they need to be doing, and thinking about it that way. So it's audience first. It's don't worry what the algorithm's doing, worry about the humans. Because if we look back over the course of history with Google, everything Google's been doing is trying to mimic what humans want. They want to put the best answers out there. And I envisage that's what the LLMs are all going to be doing as well over time. They need to surface things that are what we want to see. So if you start with humans, you're no doubt going to please the algorithms as well.
Great. Josep, do you have anything to add?
Not very much, but I totally agree with Becky. It's some people it's going to prefer video. I probably for this kind of business or blog, I would do more video rather than long form content. But as Becky said, is studying your audience and giving them what they want. Yeah, great.
Joe, do you have anything to add? Or
I do actually,
that?
because of course it depends on the search engine that you use, but I was looking for SEO office hours actually, and I saw that it came up in the AI overviews. And obviously we're not, well, optimizing completely for that, but it did come up. Of course, I'm using another computer and it's not coming up. So I would say it's really important so that you have a tool to track what is coming up in AI overviews. And I wouldn't say we're chasing trends, because I see AI reviews a little bit like when we had the featured snippets, and within then you have the frequently asked questions that people also ask. It's about, and this was highlighted last week at Brighton SEO, making sure that you have the content that's easily digestible. So it's like bullet points. It also gets to the point at the beginning of that page. I would just say it's basically highlighting succinct content. So bullet points, table formats, if you do have any videos or images. But no, I wouldn't do specifically, short form videos if that's not part of your strategy. Only if it makes sense should you start to look into it, because doing videos, you need to have the resources to do that. And Doc Brown is in the audience actually, and Doc said agrees with everything that Becky just said. Parma said, oh, did I miss an it depends? And Ramon saying, if the SERP shows video, then it's probably a good idea to do videos. Yeah, good point on that one.
Great, amazing. I agree with what everybody said. The only thing I would just add is it also depends on who you are and what value you can offer. Particularly, I've worked in travel quite a lot or have many travel clients. And the thing I always think is if you're writing these amazing guides, but you're doing it from the office and it's people that have never been to those places and so on, I think there's only going to be so much value there. Whereas if you've got people on the ground or local journalists or anything like that you can get to do these guides, I still think there's loads of value in that, because often when we're worried about booking something like a holiday, it's something we tend to only go to these places once and we want to get it right, and people do lots of research. So along with, I do agree that if there are ways of also providing other ways of sharing that value, whether that's through short form videos or getting into forums and answering people's questions, I think that's also great. But I'm trying really hard not to say it depends, but I think it's really important that whoever is creating that content has been there and it's not just a copywriter in the office, because I think you're going to really struggle more than ever going up against LLMs right now with just diluted content like that. If you're basically doing what they're doing, where you're just doing online research, then I think at some point you're going to lose the race. Yeah. Joe, do we have anything else in the chat before or does anybody else have anything?
Doc is saying that let people that actually have been at these places write about them. So yeah, it was even a pain writing about it without ever setting foot somewhere back in Doc's junior years. Yes. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Ramon and Parma, Becky as well. No, I think that was great answers.
Yeah. And there's loads of ways. I've mentioned that with a client that I work with, one thing that we do, they send hundreds of thousands of people all over Europe. And what we do is we make sure we go through all of the reviews because they're asked throughout their holiday about everything and they feed back. And we try and use content like that based on real people that have been there, as opposed to just hiring an external writer to put something together. It's going to be okay, but it's probably not going to be that great. And it's always good to have, don't get me wrong, I hire lots of writers and they do lots of editing and stuff and do lots of clever stuff with putting copy together. But I just mean that particularly in travel, I think it's so important to have that first-hand knowledge if you want to earn your place in people's attention spans. Okay, ready? Next one. Should we go? Oh,
Yes.
another comment from Jordan.
There are benefits of having a mixture of long-term content, long-form content, and short videos, or YouTube content strategy. Or so he also shared article from Search Engine Land that YouTube is cited 200 times more than any other video platform in AI search results. Yeah.
Great. Amazing. Okay, next question. With the next round of .brand domains opening up next year, and so what they're referring to there is where instead of a .com or a .co.uk, you can have your .brand. So this is something that Google has. They have a .google. So with the next round of .brand domains opening up next year, would you bother securing your own? Is there any real SEO or trust benefit, or is this just a branding thing? Especially after Google published a post explaining their success when they migrated their content to blog.google and about.google. And then they've provided us with a link from Google just explaining about it. But I guess the purpose of this is something that's coming up next year. I know that everybody, when you start a business, you tend to try and get the .com and the wherever you're from and so on. So should you be getting your .brand? Joseph, would you be okay starting with this one?
Yeah, sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in this new search era, let's say, in this new paradigm shift. It makes much more sense to secure your .brand name domain because if you think about it, most of the what are we calling geo or optimizing for search for LLMSs and AI platforms is all about getting your brand recommended. So that's the ultimate goal. So to me, it makes a lot of sense if you can secure your domain on that. And because this is another layer on the trust and authority, and let's say EEAT if you want. And obviously, I think it's like a logical movement that can bring more of these elements to the mix. Yeah, I would go for that, definitely.
Okay, great. Becky, would you guys be getting the .reflect domains, or what are you thinking in terms of clients?
I think from a brand protection point of view, it's worth having it. But I think if we go back to the human side of it, I don't think humans understand. I think most people, like we understand domains, or to a point, I'd say I understand. And I don't get, but we don't give them much second thought. Like most people don't really even ever type in a domain anymore. We go to Google and we search for what we're expecting. So actually, I think from a customer perspective, they've got no idea. They're not thinking about this unless you work in the sector and understand it more. So I think it's more from a brand protection point of view that you don't want your competitor going and buying it or trying to do something. There's also been, we were targeted actually earlier this year with some dodgy scams that are going on where someone was duplicating our site and trying to do some dodgy things. So also from that protection of knowing that you've got it, but I don't think, yeah, customers don't think about it. It's not going to help them. Like it looks quite cool potentially as a different type of domain, but again, they're not thinking like that. So yeah, I would say it's just more of a security protection thing.
Great. Joe,
I agree with Becky, but if you have just your .com, I probably just, and if you don't have loads of extra funds, just stick to that. I wouldn't necessarily go and buy another domain. We also have a couple of comments in the chat, but after you've given your input, then I can share that too.
Great. I spent so long getting goodsignals.com. I think the idea of having any more domains, like obviously, I think with these it might be slightly different with, I should have done some research, but I think it might be slightly different with trademarks and so on. That you might only be able to go for it if you have the trademark, but I can see why people would do it. I think if you're the size of something like Coca-Cola, you might want to do it, but I don't know. I'm going to reserve and think about it a bit more, but at the moment, I don't intend to buy any, I don't think. But I get the whole brand protection thing, and it would just be a nightmare if somebody started ranking for your business. Becky, what did you have to do in that, just in case anyone else finds themselves in that situation? What was the
It was a nightmare, if I'm honest. So it happened in Australia, which obviously we're not based in Australia at all, but they'd made a duplicate of our site. And it was one of these really dodgy scams where they were making out that we were trying to employ people. But it's a sad thing because people were falling for this. But to be employed by us, not us, you were having to pay money. So they had to pay. So people were losing money. And then I've come across other agencies that have had the same thing. And it was only because people started asking us about it. But then it was really frustrating because people would message us at the weekend and ask, and then we're not necessarily watching our socials over weekend. That you'd go back to them Monday morning and they go, oh, I just ended up doing it anyway. And you're like, oh, no. So in the end, we've put up a locale version of our site in Australia that comes up with a warning message to say, if you've seen anything about our brand asking to work with us, we are not hiring, do not pay attention to it. And ever since we've done that, we've not heard anything. But I've seen a lot more agencies off the back of this that have not really spoken out, but have had the same thing happen. Yeah, really dodgy. Really, it's sad that there's naughty people out there doing things like that.
Yeah, that's so irritating. There's so many scams at the moment, aren't there? Just that they're quite clever, some of these people. So many. It's such a shame. Okay, Joe, do we have anything in the chat
We
before?
do, yes. We said, so Palmer saying stick to .com in my opinion. Carl saying this is the same store with the Centralinic and the UK.com, etc. But Ramon saying do .com. Site migrations are, yeah, a big pain. I think if you already have a good brand, then you have that all sorted. I would say just stick to .com.
I think they only do it every so many years as well. If it is something that's important to you, you probably want to get on it basically for when they do release them. Okay, next question. I've been testing OpenAI's new Atlas browser. It's not bad, but I'm not ready to make it my default. Realistically, how much does the browser itself matter for SEO? Is this something we should be paying attention to? Joe, would you like to start? How much does the browser matter?
I think the thing where you are based, there are some countries that have a bigger market share than others. I believe it's really important to actually be able to track where you're getting your traffic from. I haven't used the new Atlas browser. I do switch between other browsers like DuckDuckGo, and I use also Bing. In terms of how much does a browser matter for SEO, I would say I don't think about it that much apart from with Bing, for example, I want to make sure I've got my Bing Webmaster Tools. With AI, I want to be able to have a tool that measures where we're getting these AI overviews. It would be great. I believe we saw that post from Aleda saying, please Google, add AI overviews into Google Search Console. So I don't necessarily believe it is the browser itself that matters for SEO. You need to make sure that your website loads in all browsers.
Joe, if you're really Marty McFly, you could fly into the future and let us know. That would be handy, and then come back and give
Well,
us.
actually, the future was 2015, so that's already 10 years
Okay,
ago.
you're a little bit.
Yeah,
You're still buying links and stuff and keywords at that point, so
I
no
am in
help
some
whatsoever.
countries. Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah. Becky or Josep, do you have anything to add? How much does the browser actually matter?
Yeah, you go, please.
Oh, okay. I don't think the browser matters so much, but I suppose what it might do if people start migrating to using it more so than others, then we're probably going to see more people ending up defaulting into searching in ChatGPT. So I think it's them more thinking about how it might change behavior as opposed to how it might change SEO. It's more than If that's where they're going to look for their information, because that becomes their default route, then we just need to make sure we're being surfaced in the right way. And it does still feel like the Wild West. I'd say it's like early days. Not everyone knows all these answers yet. We're all testing things and working it out. But that to me is the biggest likely effect of it, is that, and I guess that's why they've done it. They're hoping that it means it migrates more people to wanting to use that as their default. But that's going to take time. That's not going to be an overnight thing. We're still on this change curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I wouldn't go as for default with Atlas yet. It's very new. And I'm usually, when there's something new, I like to test, but not just to see how it works, but not immediately jump into this. So the thing is, because everyone wants to get data about the user, obviously, and getting your own browser gives you the ability to have this first party, let's say, information about the user. It's what Google has been doing with Chrome a lot all these years. But Atlas is a quite a different thing, and because the agentic nature of it, you don't know what user data is going to use and for what purpose. Today, it was a very interesting post from Natsir Turado about this. He was citing another guy, I can't remember, and he was explaining the kind of things that these agentic browsers can do wrong. And definitely, if you don't have any kind of control about your personal data, and with agents you don't most of the time, I would be very aware of that, at least by default right now.
Mm.
That's it.
Great, amazing. Joe, do you have is there anything in the chat that you'd like to mention?
The link that you shared, that was great. Thank you. So useful posts on analytics and new browsers. Waleed's saying that browsers can differ in how quickly they load pages and use system resources. Ramon said that what happens with browsers is very important to the web. Not sure what exactly will be the implication for SEO, but it would be wise to follow this closely. Parma said, I just make sure that the various agentic setups can navigate your site and that they find the right things to click on. There's no SEO thing involved, but a ton of sites think agentic browsers are bots and block these browsers. So that was a very good point there. Jordan has said, when it comes to AI first agentic browsers, it will be interesting to see the adoption rate and how many users are actually using the super assistant tool to make the purchasing journeys. In terms of SEO, so SEO featuring UX and CRO, we need to test our websites to ensure that crawlers can access elements of the site like those drop downs in order to be able to assist the user in making a quicker purchase. And we also have from Carl, the browser for me makes a difference in how the people search, as in what's the default engine and can influence the popularity. So some good comments there. And I also want to say, because we're only 15 minutes away from the end, thank you everyone for joining us on our 84th episode. Thank you everyone for joining us live. We have 32 of us. This is quite a few. And if you are enjoying it, I'm sure you are, do click a like on the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And those that are not watching us live, watching recording, because I know we're not, it might be a bit early in the US or a bit late in Australia. So do try and join us live if you can and click a nice little like on the video and subscribe to the channel, because we'll be having many more of these shows, including next week will be our 2-year anniversary.
Yay. I can't believe we've been doing this for 2 years. Amazing. That's great. It's always so lovely, actually, when you can see people from Australia who actually come to the live thing, because I think, isn't that incredible? They're Friday night spending it with us on SEO office hours. So always very much appreciate that. Just very quickly on this, in terms of any additional thoughts on this question, like always, I agree with everybody. The only thing I would add is that, to me, this feels like more of maybe a CRO issue rather than an SEO issue. And you might just want to make sure that your website is performing as well on any browser as it is on, say, ones like Chrome and so on. And analytics can be great, being able to see the performance. Particularly, I'm not sure if this is a mobile app or anything yet either, but obviously if that is the case, then it would be good to also look at mobile performance with it. But just to make sure people are doing what you want them to do and they're able to access your content. I always know whenever I'm working on a site actually, and people use if I'm doing any kind of CRO work, one browser, the sort of Facebook in-app browser can sometimes be a bit of a nightmare. So with websites, browsers do make a difference from that perspective, but I think that's more how a user uses your website as opposed to it being an SEO issue. But SEO and CRO, I agree in the comments, Roman, about SEO and CRO being so important and working together 100%. I can't believe how quickly this morning's gone. I was watching Question Time last night and it felt like it went on forever. And that was an hour as well. And then this has flown by. So maybe it's just me. Okay, I'm going to try and squeeze in one that I sent over this morning. That came in, and then we'll go to our regular question. And I picked a long one, apologies. I'm a freelancer working with an agency on a newly launched site. I'm hoping to be anonymous as I work through this issue, but for context, the site I'm working on has been redesigned on a new CMS. The domain has existed for a while. However, there was a previous domain name migration from .com/UK, from the subfolder .com/UK to the subdomain or the domain .co.uk, top domain level. Redirects are in place, but all hreflang and schema markup has been lost. The .co.uk URLs just aren't getting indexed. It's been suggested internally that I should be focusing on setting up a Wikipedia profile and wiki citations, also setting up Reddits and subreddits to help index the domain. I'm not in agreement because I feel the technical foundations of the site and the domain name migration need to be addressed first. So my question is, do you have any thoughts or experiences on setting up Wikipedia profiles for crawling and indexing purposes? I was under the impression that getting wiki pages approved was hard to do nowadays unless it's a very notable topic. I'm just looking to focus all my efforts to help where I can have the most impact. Apologies for how I read out that question. It only came in this morning, so I don't have it on paper, but they've gone from the subfolder .com/UK to the domain .co.uk. Does anybody who would like to kick off? Becky, go for it.
Just trust your gut. You're right. This is technical SEO, first of all, and I'm not a technical SEO, as I've said earlier on, but so I can't really help you on the Wikipedia side of things. But absolutely, if you use the house analogy, if your house was falling down, you're not going to go, let's just go and redecorate a room and that's going to help fix it. You're going to get your foundations right. That's the bit. And if your technical foundations are wrong and your hreflang is wrong, you've just got no hope. You're literally going to be running up a hill with a boulder coming at you. Go get that bit fixed first, and then you can look at other things. But yeah, as I say, I'm not the expert to talk about Wikipedia, but trust your gut. You're right, and yeah, we'll all back you on this.
Joseph, do you have anything to add?
Absolutely, it's what Becky said. Go to the fundamentals, get your foundations right. Technical SEO first. If Google can crawl your website, nothing's gonna matter later. Don't focus on shiny things. Go straight to the foundations. What happened? You have to investigate what happened. You have lost your hreflangs. Probably that's one part of the cause, but probably there's another issue there about robots or sitemaps, like the basics. Get the basics right. I wouldn't go right now to see the schema. This is not going to help you too much at that point. Probably later, and definitely not Wikipedia. As Becky said, this is not going to help you right now. So, yeah, basically, go to the fundamentals, get them right. Yeah.
Great. Joe, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say I totally agree with what Josep and Becky have said. What I would say is trust you are the freelancer working with this agency. So they have asked you as an external consultant to help them. Okay, they're suggesting that you need to focus on the Wikipedia page, but you are the expert. So in a polite way, just reinforce that. Wikipedia pages in the past were, yes, helpful, but nobody prioritize that over tech SEO. So just remember that you are the expert and you can bring to the table that advice, and you go with get the brilliant basics in place first, fix that tech SEO.
Amazing. This is one of those questions that it would be really helpful to actually get the domains. And I know that you want to stay anonymous. And I promise you, we don't share. If you say to us, please don't share the domains. We won't. So feel free to share it. And actually, one of the even better things I would do is say you can say it on the live call, but not on YouTube, because we can always cut that bit out if you want. But it's super helpful if we can actually see the situation, because you've got on this call alone, you might have 30 other SEOs, including us, that can help have a quick look and give you some thoughts. That's my number one advice. If you would like to re-ask the question with domains, that would be amazing. And I promise you, we won't share. We will only share as much or as little as you would like us to. The other thing is, I agree with everybody in terms of it sounds like you need to focus on the sort of technical fundamentals content. I'm a little bit confused how Wikipedia would help at all, because from the question, you moved from a .com/UK to a .co.uk, which suggests that there might be other versions of the website. And even if you had a Wikipedia profile, I'm not sure how that would help, because surely you would also be linking through to other parts of the site. Not that I'm even saying Wikipedia is the way I would go. That bit confused me a little bit. I agree with the others, and if you're the SEO on this, you know better than anybody else probably, because you're the one, like Joe said, that's been contracted in. So I would start from scratch and go through this site, go through the previous site, and just try and work out where these technical issues are with the tools that we have. Yeah, I'm guessing because there is a .com/UK, that there's still parts of the old website that are still available. So I'd have to get up Search Console and see for both to see what's happening and see if everything's been set up correctly. Joe, is there anything in the chat?
Yeah, there's lots in the chat. Basically, the person asked the question, everyone backs what you are doing. So basically, fix the tech first. Ramon said that is like influencing the whole country by your opinion when all you really want to is influence your neighbor. It's a big overkill, he said. Don't think Ahrefs length alone will help you. Use all the signals at your disposal. Carl has said that tech SEO, it's all the way. It's also likely with that type of domain migration, you may have lost authority from the site. Parma also said fix the basics first, then promote. Josep, he said maybe the site runs on JS and they're not rendering server side. So have a look at that. And yeah, sometimes Ramon said that some migrations may take a bit longer, but really just fix your tech SEO. I think there's a bit of confusion as from the people saying, oh, you need to set up Wikipedia for crawling and indexing. No, you need to focus on your site.
Yeah. Okay, super. So we're at that. We've only got 4 minutes left. So I think we're going to jump to our regular question, which is, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment? Joe, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO?
I'm actually really excited about, as always, events. There is International Social Summit taking place on November the 12th in Barcelona. And then the very next day, there's International Search Summit taking place. If anybody would like a discount, you can have a discount using the code TURNGLOBAL. And it's a great event. There'll be 4 tracks, including an AI track. There should be about 650 or 600 people attending.
Wow.
In the beautiful Barcelona in November. So those that live north, you can fly south for winter, a couple of days, and a long weekend.
Great. Becky, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment?
I just think it's the most exciting time. There's so much change around user behavior, and we haven't even really started the change. Like, we're early in the change. So I think just embracing it but not feeling overwhelmed is really important. I think there's an opportunity to go, there's too much to do here, I don't know how to tackle this. Start with your audience, understand what they're doing, bring it back to then planning a strategy that's around your audience that will then also please algorithms. So yeah, I'm just excited.
Amazing. Joseph, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment?
There's a lot going on as well. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can, as always, to understand. But it's for me, the most interesting thing is that we are living a paradigm shift in search. And it's all about trying to understand how it works and how we can integrate the old stuff like we have been doing in SEO and try to match it with how these LLMSs and AI mode and AI overviews work, so we can help more clients to get visibility on that. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm very excited about all the Halloween and SEO memes we're going to see today. I love stuff like that. So that's going to be my morning after this. Okay, I think we'll stop there. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us live. Thank you so much to Josep and Becky. Thank you so much to our live audience. Thank you, Joe, for co-hosting. Thank you so much to people watching afterwards on YouTube. Come join us live. As I always say, it's so much better. And thank you to those who submitted the questions. We will see you next week.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Becky, Joseph, and thank you everyone for joining us, including Cara, Amon, Sharira, Waj, Jordan, Adam, Doc, Brown, Emily. We have so many people that are regular attendees, so thank you. And join us for our second anniversary next week, same time, 9:30 a.m. UK time.
And don't forget, Becky's doing the live stream on Monday of her full Brighton SEO, actually the extended Brighton SEO talk. So they make you do everything in 20 minutes. So it will be the full talk. So go to Reflect Digital and sign up for that. Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.